Thanks everybody for joining us today. I think we have a really good show. Sherri?
Sherri Taliercio.
And Sue?
And Sue Quinn.
Sue Quinn. Why don't you tell us a little bit what you do, because this is going to be a very interesting show, a little off of the normal theme. But go ahead, Sherri, why don't you start?
I am the Public Information Officer for Ocean County Library. So I supervise our Public Relations Department, and I also supervise our Printing and Graphics Department. So we do a lot of promotion, social media, you name it. We try to get word out of everything good happening at the library.
Okay, good, good. Sue?
And I am Sue Quinn. I'm the library director. And I've spent my career at Ocean County Library, and I worked my way up from the system. So I think I've done quite a different number of jobs at the library for the librarian.
Yeah. You've also, I think you've also been recognized in regards to different things in the county also, which we can talk about a little bit. Most of my guests are shy, so they don't go into all of their all the recognition that they received publicly for some of the good work that you've been doing. So the viewers may be wondering why I asked the two of you to come on. I've been really impressed with the library here on the island on LBI, and my wife also volunteers. My wife Joan volunteers, friends of the library, and whenever I go in there, I am really impressed with how it's set up, and it reminds me a lot of when I was a kid, but in a futuristic way. Okay, it's been a long time since I was a kid, so the good thing about it is that when I walk in there, it brings back really good memories for me, and but also impressed with the fact that it is quite advanced now relative to what I remember, and I just wanted to share that message with the audience, because I know the two of you have a lot to do with that. So Sherri, why don't you start off?
Well, Ocean County Library is in a position that not many other businesses or organizations are, in the sense that we have to appeal to every single person in Ocean County. Anywhere from the age of 9 to 99, we aim to constantly be changing and evolving to be able to appeal to the community that we serve, which is all of Ocean County. And each branch that we have 21 locations, we have 19 branches and 2 reading centers, and each one of those is in a distinct neighborhood that's maybe like a little bit different. They all have their own personalities. So, one of the challenges is making sure that we do remain relevant for everyone that has a library card or everyone that has yet to sign up for a library card. And it's a constant, it's a constant wheel of us just keep going and going and going with promoting and telling everybody about the wonderful things that we have at Ocean County Library.
Yeah.
And a lot of it starts with a library card. So
Thank
get your
you for
library
reminding
card
me.
if you don't have it.
Get your library card.
Thank you for
Best deal
reminding
in
me,
town.
because I don't know. I mean, I haven't had a library card in a long time. I just go in there and I roam around,
It's the best card you could have in your wallet. It gives you access to so many wonderful things.
Yeah. Can people do that online?
You can fill out the form online, and then so you can get your start that way to do it. And we encourage everyone to get a library card, and there's a lot of resources that you can also get digitally from your homes. So if you can't visit the library in person, there's a lot of books. There's ebooks. There's newspapers. There's magazines. There's databases for people who like to do research. And Sherri does a wonderful job, her and her team, in getting out all the information that's out there. And you can even look up book recommendations that our librarians curate, for various interests. So,
before I ask the next question, why don't you share a little bit about what your responsibilities are at the library?
Okay. Well, my responsibility right now is I'm the library director. So my responsibilities are working with a great team of people, because no one ever does their job alone. And we have wonderful staff. I'm really privileged to work with them. We have a wonderful library commission. And so my job is really to work with the team. We set our goals for the years. We have our strategic plan, and to make sure we're working towards accomplishing those goals. And I love going out, doing things like this, and talking with people, and just sharing all the good things the library has and can do. That's one of the most fun parts of the job.
21 branches. Those
21.
are a lot of
21 locations.
21 locations.
Locations for actually the two of you. Does that mean you go to these locations on a pretty regular basis? Or?
Yes. I mean, we do get out quite a lot to the branches, and it's, as Sherri was saying before, each one is very unique to their location, and that's what makes it interesting and fun. And I think our staff are really great working with the communities and developing programs and services. I think one of the most things that are fun, it's kind of like when you're a librarian, is not only do we love to read and do we love to share, what we like to read, but it's also creating programs for the public, and it could be from all ages. We have everything from youngest children to teenagers, to adults, families, older adults, and there's really something for everyone, and it's really fun. You get to be creative. I think that's one of the things about this job that really appeals to me. So yes, you have the administrative part, but you are working with a great team of creative people, and that's really fun, and they're really looking to see what maybe the community needs. But our purpose, though, also is, of course, it's in the educational area. And so reading is very important. Reading opens, it's very important for everyone to read, to learn to read, to get an early start. And that can really change, someone's life. So, it's really important. So when parents come in with their children, just hearing, just even if the child doesn't read, just sitting with the parent or the caregiver or the guardian and listening to the stories, it starts that early appreciation for language that really is a stepping stone for everything else.
Yeah.
And, so it's really fun to kind of think of ways to engage people in the joy of reading.
I think the brand, so Sherri, the brand recognition is there, right? People drive anywhere they drive, they see the library, they know what the library is.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times, though, from a promotional standpoint, they have an image of what they think it is. Coca-Cola, everybody knows, I think, what Coca-Cola is, but they've had so many different variations to the soda, and then they offer other products and services, not services, but products along with that. And, so the brand is recognizable, the library is recognizable. But I'm sure my recollection of what the library was when I was a kid is totally different than what it is right now. So, how's it actually changed, in your opinion, over the time you've been involved?
I think a lot of it is just perception. So your perception of the library is going to be based on your own personal experiences. Mine is going to be based on my experiences. And that's one of the challenges that I think we face, is that it's trying to constantly remind everyone of what we have. We're not just books. We aren't just a depository of books. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But we're so much more than that. And I think that what my team and I do is we really just keep trying to reiterate, the summer's coming up. We offer museum passes to like a ton of museums where with your library card, you get discounted or free entry to those museums. So there's a lot of things that you can do and utilize through the services of the library without even having to walk through the doors. Like Susan mentioned, I know for me, as I get up there in age, my eyes are starting to kind of, I need reading glasses and stuff. So I will normally not read a physical book anymore. I've been listening to audiobooks through Libby or Hoopla. There's just so many things, and it's exciting for me and my team to keep promoting those things to everyone in the community. Because there's always going to be somebody that walks in the door that says, "Oh, I didn't know you had XYZ, book," or "I didn't know that you did musical programs. I didn't know that you had craft programs." And yep, we got it all. It's all there. It's all there for the taking.
Yeah, and I don't know. I would imagine that the majority of that is free.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, in a matter of speaking, like for me, I'm much more aware now because, again, my wife volunteers at the library here on the island.
Nice.
And if it were not for that, I wouldn't go in there. But whenever I'm with her and she says, oh, I just got to stop in there to pick something up or whatever the case is, I say, okay, I'll go with you. But if it wasn't for her involvement, I would never go in there. I would never have gone in there, and that would have been, I would have regretted that, because now, to your point, once I go in there and I see what goes on in the library, I'm very impressed with it. And so many special events also that are held in that conference area that they have. She tells me that thing is booked all the time.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
And I think the volunteers, certainly on this island, and maybe you can talk about volunteerism at the other locations in Ocean County, I think they add a lot of value because they also are spokespeople in their community for it.
Oh, yeah.
So all of them are like little PR teams.
Oh, yeah.
They are. They are.
They are true champions of the library, and the library would not function without our volunteers.
We truly appreciate our friends of the libraries. The Friends of the Island Library, everything they do, the programs they sponsor, their advocacy, and they're fun. They put on, great programs. They're great advocates for the library, and they really understand what we do, as you said. So they get out to speak there. So I'm glad you came into the library and saw what it's about, and encourage others to do that. And our friends do that.
They certainly do. They're basically walking
wonderful.
advertisements for the library. We are so lucky.
Yeah.
To have the Friends of the Library.
I mean, I'll talk to folks here that say, they put in, I guess, a request for certain books at the library, and most people, I should say, when they're interested in a book, they'll go to Amazon, they'll go on to Amazon, or they'll go on their Kindle or go to an online bookstore to purchase something, whereas they could just go to the library
for
and
free.
request for free.
Yeah.
And that is really why I wanted to have the two of you on the show, because I'm about promoting what I think are worthwhile causes and some businesses too. But again, the brand recognition of the library has always been out there. I just don't think that people utilize it enough, and that's why I wanted to have the two of you on here. To shamelessly promote it.
That's our specialty. Happy to do that.
What's your normal strategy? How do you try to do that? I mean, do you go through the newspapers, or we're a society that focuses more on buying sneakers, unfortunately, than advertising. To be cool, you should be reading this book, so that you can talk it up with your neighbors, you can talk it up with your professors or your school teachers, or whatever the case might be. Right? I'm still hopeful that we're focused on education, in this country, and because that unfortunately doesn't necessarily sell a lot of advertising, right? So how do you try to promote the library and get people to actually pay attention?
We have a wonderful PR team. I'm shamelessly promoting one of my
no, please.
and,
I want
and
you to
a wonderful
shamelessly
printing and
promote it.
graphics team.
I'm going to keep going unless you do.
Basically, are magicians in my book. We have grown such an organic following, meaning we don't really pay for our advertising because we've built such relationships with our media. We've built such a following with our social media and our YouTube that is primarily how we get the word out there. We send out multiple press releases a week about everything that's going on at the library, a lot of which do get picked up by our local media. Sometimes even beyond that. Last year for our 100th anniversary, we had a story that we sent out to the media that it went worldwide. It was about a woman named Mary Cooper who returned a book after 98 years?
Yeah, 90.
I think I read about this somewhere.
It was all
It was really
over the
nice.
place. So when you have a heartfelt story like that basically just tells what the library is about, people want that. People need that feel-good stuff. In today's day and age, people want to hear about those feel-good human interest stories. So we send a lot of things out, a lot of things get picked up. people that love the library and champion the library are usually always talking it up and telling their friends and family, you got to go to the library. Like, look what I made at the library. We have flower arranging classes. There's meditation. There's yoga. I mean, you name it, it is at one of the branches of the library. And that's the good thing too, is that when you get a library card, you're not just, you can't just use that at one branch. You use that all throughout Ocean County at 21 locations that all offer something a little bit different. So there really is, it's a world of like wonderfulness, if that's a word.
Good.
You know, the social aspects of being able to go to the library. Like I said, when my children were little, you know, I was a stay-at-home mom. It was just nice to talk to other moms whose kids were there, and for my kids to socialize with those kids. And I think at each stage in life, there's something a little bit different there for people that are residents of Ocean County.
I mean, so you were going to say something before I
No, I was going to agree with her when she was talking about kids, because when we were talking about, you know, using the library, we also partner with many of our school districts and, you know, work very closely with our teachers. And we have something called an education initiative where we want to make sure all students have access to a library card so that they have access to information materials. And we also have great programs in the summer reading programs for children, teens, and adults. We also have a great program for teenagers. It's called the SAIL program, and it stands for Service and Achievement in the Library. And they come to the branches and they work with us and they help us do different things in the library, help us programs. And there was a program called Reading Buddies where you have like an older student will read to a younger child, and that kind of encourages them. And we also have a really, this is for Surge, we have a great, we have programs in the library. We also have at some of our branches, we have the Read to the Dogs programs. And reluctant readers who sometimes may be shy or they might be hesitant to read, especially reading out loud, when they come and they read to the dogs are so understanding and cute, and you know, and they just listen, and the children just like open up with the Read to the Dogs program. And you know, then there's the teenagers also, you know, we sometimes have that for them, and they're frequently therapy dogs, so they're trained. And you know, it's just some of the innovations that staff have come up with to try to encourage people to read and to connect with each other, and to encourage that, like you said, the lifelong, you know, interest in education. And for librarians also, we like to promote all kinds of books for reading, and we also like to showcase maybe the novel or the book that you may not have heard of, but you may need to do that. One of the interesting things that we've done recently is 2 of our staff went out to the Public Library Association conference, and we're one of the first libraries that did a program on how we work with self-published authors, because many people, you know, they want to write a book, and so we have a whole process for that. We don't accept every book, but it goes through a process, you know, to do that, because that is usually one of the things people like, especially everybody has their story in them, and it gives them a way to express it. So you can come in and you can read. We like to say we have the collected, on our shelves we have the collected, you know, wisdom of humanity and everyone's stories. Everyone has a story. There's so many stories on our shelves, both fiction, nonfiction, but each person has their own story as well. And it's a place where people get to share stories. So, you know, even for you in this podcast, it's a way to share, you know, stories, and we have a lot of stories. I think the written word is, in my humble opinion, very, very important. I think as a society, well, not only our society, but on a global basis, everything is about what, you know, feeds quick,
response on your electronic device. The problem, it's not a problem, but that just gives you a very cursory understanding of it. You need to reflect on something, and that's where the book comes into play.
Exactly.
You know, the written word. I found it really interesting. I don't want to pitch anything here, but the people that produce this phone in Manhattan, there are a number of stores in Manhattan, in the whole New York area. And I basically asked somebody who was really into the company, you know, you guys wait out online sometimes when a new issue comes out. You know, there are 20, 30 people online waiting to get in just because it has a different number on it and has some minor things. I said, what's happening to the notebook today where people used to write things down, or diaries and things like that? And the person actually educated me by saying that near some of these mega stores that sell this technology, sometimes on the very same block, there's a pretty famous manufacturer of notebooks and such. That no matter how technologically savvy you are, you still want to write stuff down.
You do.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And not just your password, you know, but other stuff, reflecting on what it is that you just saw, so that your memory can recall it, as opposed to saving. When everything is on this device, you don't know what you have in here.
Yeah.
So, you know, I leave stuff out all over the place as a reminder of what I need to get done. This looks like I have nothing to do because it's all so nicely compact, right? But the fact of the matter is that out of sight, out of mind sometimes. So I think the book, though, from a standpoint of allowing us to really contemplate something and think about something, is still very, very critical.
Exactly. And, you know, as you were saying, too, it's just the, you know, writing, you know, you read something. And, I mean, the phones are convenient and you can access things, but I think you hit the nail on the head when you said when you get to read something and then you reflect on it and then you write, you know, and I know that there are some books, you know, they called it marginalia, and where people would write, you know, don't write in the library.
I was just going to say, you read my mind.
Don't get a notebook.
Don't write in the library books. But
you got to return the book.
but if you have your own book, sometimes people, and I'll say we have a really good collection. We had, you know, former freeholder John Bartlett, County Commissioner John Bartlett, and who has, has since passed away. But he read. He was very interested in World War I, and he read 100 books related to World War I. And I'm pleased in Toms River that we have that collection. And what he did, they were his own books, and he wrote what he thought. And sometimes he has since passed, but he wrote whether he agreed sometimes or not. And so when we saw this, we said, oh, that's something that's important for us, because, you know, it shows you what he's thinking. And I believe he was a history teacher also. So he has written notes in the margins of all the books that these books that he read, and we have that in our Wheel of Room collection in Toms River.
That's neat. That's another.
Which
that's
is interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's sort of you know, a library also, section for, you know, in this case, a commissioner, or you know, you could have sections, I guess, in the library for other people that have made an impact, you know.
Yeah. It was very interesting, you know, for that history. And I do have some books with me, so I hope, you know, I
saw you come in with these things.
I did.
I hope you're not using them for exercise purposes.
I know books are they can be heavy too. I brought in the books, and some of them have a little bit of a theme. Some may relate to maybe coastal, or some that I like. And this is what, you know, you get. I have a few that I'm just going to talk, which are super popular, just because I know people are. But David Baldacci is one of our most popular authors, and this is Nash Falls. And this is the first book of his series. He has a new book out. But you might want to start with this. And he is an executive in a company, and living in, you know, high-powered executive, leading your executive life, and then he falls into a life of espionage and adventure. So
typically what happens here on the island.
Exactly. Yeah. And Baldacci, he's just he's really fun.
Yeah, good.
So,
but that's a great suggestion, because a lot of these authors, some of them have 10 plus books out, and so what's a good beginning, because the character develops.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And his books, he has so many, and this is a new series for Nashville. So his next book, I couldn't bring the book that he has out now, which was released in April, because they're all checked out, and that's called Hope Rising. Oh. So I thought I would tell your audience that if they're interested in him, and Hope Rising is checked out, but they haven't read the first book, this is Nash Falls, and this will give you some of the backstory.
That's great.
Yeah, and he's one of the few authors that doesn't necessarily co-author with anyone.
Okay.
There's a couple of popular authors that I guess just down the line have started to kind of co-author. So their name is still on the book, but they're not necessarily the person who's authoring. But he's one of the few that still is authoring his books, and he's got quite a following.
From a writer's perspective, not me being a writer, but I mean, it's just amazing. It's like bands, musical bands that just keep producing thousands and thousands of songs. Some iconic bands like the Rolling Stones, they've got music that they wrote that they've never actually published, like in the vault. But these authors that you're talking about, they've written so many books. I just don't know where these thoughts come from.
Yeah, how do they do it?
How many of these fictional stories do you have?
And they're all bestsellers.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
And then the next one I have is Janet Ivanovich, King's Ransom, which is her new book. And
I mean, she's written a lot of books.
Yeah,
she has.
She's popular.
And this is a fun one. This is about Gabriella Rose. She embarks on a global hunt to track down missing masterpieces, and this is action-packed. She works for an insurance company. So she's tasked with, working for the insurance company if something very valuable goes, missing. So she's called a recovery agent. And she can find just about anything, it says. But she can't seem to lose her gorgeous but infuriating ex-husband, Rayford Jones. Wow. And now he needs her help. But this one, she's talking about...
typical guy needs help.
Typical guy. His brother has gotten into some issues. He's the president of a high-flying private bank. Wow. And he's invested in an amount of money in insuring some of the world's most priceless artifacts. And so things go awry. He may be going to jail, so she needs to help. So this shows her going around the world.
What's the name of it again?
It's called,
just so they can see it. King's Ransom.
King's Ransom.
Perfect.
So that is also very, very new. Sorry, I love books, so you're going to hear a lot about books.
I love books too, and I have to get back into reading a physical book, because I've been so used to listening to the audio books.
I hear what you say. I also read digital sometimes, and because you can make the font bigger. So for people, sometimes if you need to read, it's as long as
it does add a little bit of ease,
right?
And it's good.
Yeah, but if you get a hard copy book, I mean, it's going to be better. I used to work years and years ago. I worked for Doubleday Publishing. I was a financial analyst there, so I didn't get involved with the editing or any of that. But it still comes to it still comes a bit to how much money is something going to sell, and we had different size print books. And the hard copy obviously was the quintessential. The paperback, which has pretty much disappeared. Right. Literally, put it in your back pocket, or you could put it in your purse or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But that font was
tiny.
So small.
Yeah.
They don't make that kind of font anymore. Those paperback books,
And Janet Ivanovich is a New Jersey author too, so that's why I picked her. And this book I thought was interesting because I was looking at things that might be related to the coast. And this is great reviews by Henry Louis Gates Jr. and some other kind of serious authors. This is by Marcus Rediker. I'm making sure he's the Distinguished Professor of Atlantic History at Pittsburgh University. And this is very well researched. It has notes in the back. So to read, this is called Freedom Ship, The Uncharted History of Escaping Slavery at Sea. And what this basically is, it talks about how there was the Underground Railroad that, you know, many of us are familiar with, but there was also an underground railroad that went by ship from the ports, you know, down and south from, you know, Wilmington, North Carolina, New Orleans, that went up to New York Harbor and Boston. And so there's this seafaring history about the Underground Railroad. And I had never heard of that.
Neither
so,
did I.
Exactly. So that really fascinated me.
That is very interesting.
So, you know, so I pulled this off, I looked at it, and this is definitely one of the books that I am going to be, you know, reading, because it's a part of our history that
Yeah, it's interesting.
I didn't realize that we had.
Yeah.
So,
I love a good nonfiction book.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I read these days, really. I don't know why, nonfiction.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I mean, you
like it
watch
too.
the news, that's kind of like entertaining enough sometimes, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on.
Yeah.
So I read mostly, you know, nonfiction stuff. But,
Wonderful.
you know, when I was a kid, I used to go to the library all the time.
Nice.
When, you know, and came from a very small family, didn't have any siblings. So I would go and I would just, even then I was kind of interested in nonfiction and some mystery too. But the mystery books had the skull and crossbones. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's kind of like weird. You know, as a little kid, it kind of spooked me out a little bit. But all the mystery books, you know, had that logo, so you knew it was a mystery, you know, okay? You laugh, I presume
That's
we no longer
interesting.
indicate books this way. That's a good thing.
No, we never
Causes
don't,
trauma.
but that was interesting. I think that's
Trauma,
interesting.
yeah. But I used to read books on explorers and you know, heroes, you know, in this country during the Revolutionary War, and I used to read a lot about, you know, people like Cortez and Balboa and Magellan and so forth.
Yeah.
So that was sort of what I found interesting. Don't know why.
I know why.
Yeah, why?
Some of the best stories in the world are nonfiction stories. I'm a big nonfiction person too.
Yeah.
And if it's told the right way, it's better than a fiction book.
Yeah, yeah, well, for sure. And
Yeah.
apparently, but I mean, I was in grade school, you know, and you know, for me, and I'm going to let the two of you have, you know, the last word, because I always do that. But for me, one of the other reasons why I wanted to really have the two of you on, and you're always welcome back with any like special promotional stuff that you want to be doing at different times of the year, please let me know. But you know, that's where I went when I was in grade school and part of high school as well. I enjoyed going in there, and the libraries are still have such a brand recognition, okay? But it still kind of reminds me of when I walk in there, there's a comfort level also for me.
Absolutely.
And I really think that, and you're doing a lot of work on promoting, you know, these early reading programs and such, and bringing parents and grandparents there with their children, which makes it sort of like a social thing, which is a good thing. And I hope that when those little kids today get older, you know, they still have that emotional connection with the library, as I do, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this will as well recall that. You know, you go by the library. I've never heard anybody say anything negative about the library.
Thank you.
You know, really, now that I think about it, you know, it has such a potential, okay, to grow further. I think that, you know, it's sometimes the volume is lower than some of the other avenues that people have today to get educated informally. Regardless of what your level of education is, whether you went to high school, whether you went to college, whether you went to graduate school, you have to continuously stay educated. Exactly. I know people that barely got out of high school. They know more and add more value than someone who may have a PhD, because they're so singularly focused. And how are we going to educate these people? Well, it's not by watching Netflix, I'm sorry to say, especially the fictional stuff, or watching certain stations, okay, because you lean a certain way, you watch certain programming, and you get a very myopic view of the world that way. But books, I think, are important because, as we said earlier, they stimulate thinking.
They do.
And as opposed to following the advice of someone else that you see on TV, get your own perspective on things. But if you're just watching it, you don't really have time to digest it.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes,
It does.
absolutely.
You don't have to say you agree with me.
Reading
No,
comprehension
no.
is part of it.
I mean,
you know.
if I have a few minutes, I now that I have 2 more books, if I have time.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
To share.
Yeah.
This one I would recommend to you. I picked this one. This is called Gettysburg: The Tide Turns by Bruce Chadwick. It's an oral history. What's interesting about this is he went through and he had received like letters, commentary from people involved with the war, everyone from generals down to ordinary people in Gettysburg, and it's very short and you can read it. But I picked this one because what many people don't know is the lighthouse here on Long Beach Island was built by General George Meade, who led the Union Army at Gettysburg. So I thought
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that might be interesting. So there's a statue.
Old Barney?
Old Barney. There is a monument to George Meade.
Yes.
And
yes.
he-
There's a plaque out there, or a
It
statue
is.
or something.
It is
yeah.
because he built lighthouses along the coast, and he built Old Barney, and he went to West Point, and he was by training a cartographer and engineer, I believe. So at first, when he took over the Union Army, people didn't really like him. He was but he had an engineer's mind. He had to know everything. He had to know where everybody was. And that was the job he was given. But I thought this was a nice connection to Long Beach Island. So
thank you.
Gettysburg by Bruce Chadwick. Something for the children, which I think is, this book is hilarious. I just think this book is so fun. It's called Don't Trust Fish. And it's by Neil Sharpson and Dan Santot, who won the Caldecott Medal. And as the back says, there are plenty of fish in the sea. Don't trust any of them.
Well, that could have a lot of implications.
Yeah.
in the book.
He goes on, he talks about
Yes, it
mammals
can.
and snakes.
Yeah, no, you've already sold it well. Don't show them. Don't show them. Let them think about it.
And then he goes on to talk about all the different kinds of fish. So the children will
don't
love this
trust
because they
fish.
get in on the joke. And this I brought because this is one of our newest products, and I brought this
Oh, yeah.
because of Surge.
Oh.
This is a new product we call.
He just looked at you.
I know, I love Surge.
I wants to know if there's
This
any
is-
backstory.
These are what we call our memory kits.
Yeah.
And they are specially designed for people who are experiencing memory loss. They're available at all branches of the library. And you might be remembering the 1950s, remembering music. And I picked this out. It's called Favorite Things, and it's the Dog Reminiscence Kit. And you open it up, and there's a video, so you can play a video, and it has like sleepy dogs, puppies, and then it comes with a DVD.
I see,
And then it comes with cards where you can open it up and you can use it as like a talking point to get people to start thinking about their favorite things, for the dogs. And you can ask them about, prompts like, did you have a dog when you grew up? It has a sing-along. I can't sing, so you're not going to hear me sing. Movie dogs, working dogs. And then they have, and I got this because I thought one of the dogs looks like
Oh,
That's great.
Yes, indeed.
So there are many cards with
Wow,
dogs on the
wow.
beach.
See, we really have something for everyone.
You do.
So
You
yes, so
Wow.
I brought that, and so this is really good. People really are enjoying this, and children, grandchildren could get involved with this
Yeah.
too.
Search has a big following.
So-
and when he's not on the one or two episodes, I got hate mail.
Oh,
I'm only kidding. Hate emails
So
saying that, but they wouldn't post online. They would send it to me, individually.
Private message, yeah.
Private message me, and they were
So-
really annoyed. So now this could be like, them going into
He
all the
is.
21 locations and demanding. So you can trust the dog. You can always trust the dog, but fish apparently you can't.
No,
trust.
you can't trust fish.
Don't
you
trust
can't
fish.
You
A
can't
very
trust
cute,
fish.
very cute, fun book. So thank you so much for letting us talk about
Yeah.
some books
Thank
and
you.
giving people some ideas what they might want to read for the summer. Please stop on and visit us.
Get a library
Get a
card.
library card.
Yes,
If you
get
don't
a
have
library
one and
card.
you
I
live
don't
in
have a
Ocean
library
County,
card, so I
get
should
in
do
here
that. I
and
should
get
put that
one.
on my to-do
You can
list.
get the special library card now. We still have the 100th anniversary library card.
There's a
Yeah.
couple
So
of them
you
left.
can-
They're
there's a
in
few
limited
left.
edition.
Oh.
So you
Yeah.
can get
So
one.
you can just go right here to the one on the
Go right-
island?
yes, go
and
right
just
to the
ask for a
island.
library card? Wow.
And you can get
I'm
your
gonna go in
special
there.
limited edition 100th anniversary.
I'm going to go
library
in
card.
there.
Get
Always-
a library card.
Always great things going on
you.
here. You're
Yep.
welcome. And if there's ever, I'll repeat it verbatim, no ad-libbing, so I get it right. Anything that you would like the show to promote throughout the course of the year,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be more than happy to do that, and I'll just read it. So this way, again, you feel very comfortable with, oh, wait a minute, that's not what I told Fred to say. I'll read it verbatim,
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
It was
very,
a
very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Fred.
No, my pleasure, and please come back anytime you
Thank
like.
you.
Thank you.
We appreciate
you.
it.
This was fun.
See you next time.